Welcome back to my seat by the fire. Today I'm going to work on the wildflowers on my Roxy Stitchery, Book of Stitchery, Volume 3. So as you can see in the back, I've got my stars done, and I've started to make my wildflowers. So the yellow flowers that you will see in this are French knots, which I've made before, and you can look that up, which is basically winding the yarn around your needle, as you will see here, twice, and poking it back down in the same spot, holding your yarn so that your knot does not get caught and unwieldy, which mine frequently does, and there's your French knot. So this is going to be a field of wildflowers, so I'm going to make multiple layers of the flowers, starting with these yellow French knots. The green or stems of these flowers are just long stitches made randomly all over the page, as wildflowers tend to fall over and be at different angles versus your planted gardens where things are more planned. You can see that I've pinned with safety pins my fabric below, and while I'm not getting stuck or pricked by the needles, straight needles, the pins do get in the way, and eventually you'll see that I stitch them down, which is actually the easiest way to do it, and then just pull the stitching out if it gets in your way. I hope everybody has had a nice few weeks. We were in Victoria, BC, Canada, visiting our son, and had a marvelous time. And we're back home now. And I'm in my favorite pink rocking chair, doing some slow stitching. So now that I'm done the yellow flowers, I'm going to add red, and I'm going to change to a different green. And both the green and the red are number 8 pearl cotton that came into the thrift store. So I'm going to start with a variegated green, and I'm just going to make, as I had talked before, those long sort of whip stitches at varying lengths into my first row. Well, I guess I have 2 rows now of the yellow flowers. And I'm trying to put the green stems in such a way that they will look like they are both in front of and behind the rows of yellow wildflowers. This is where you really see that the safety pins are getting in my way and frustrating me a lot. So now I'm going to add, as you can see, I've started to add the red flowers, and remember this is variegated, and I'm using Colonial knots, and I'm going to do a few of them slowly here so that you can see how I'm doing them. I'm using different knots because they add just different texture to the overall look of my wildflowers, and hopefully they help create some depth and movement to the flowers. So you come up at the end of the stem that I created. You take your yarn and your needle and you go under your yarn, then your yarn goes over the needle. So it's under the needle, then over the needle. Again, you hold your yarn and you pull your needle down so that you don't create a knotty mess, and I frequently do, and keep going. So I'm going to do a few more, and then I am going to do it off camera and create the rest of my layers. And what I'm going to do is continue to work between red and yellow flowers, yellow French knots, red Colonial knots, and the different variegated green stems until I get the width that I want for my piece for the wildflowers. So here is what it looks like working row on row, and what I'm doing now is working with white, and again trying to create a bit more depth, and so I'm just making small seed stitches in the holes to see if that really creates some depth and again movement in the flowers. Eventually what I decide is that the seed stitching isn't really doing it for me, so I will go to the bottom of the flowers, and in the flowers I will do 3 sort of maybe 1 centimeter whip stitches to create the look of maybe dried grass in my wildflowers. That look I do like. Here is where I start to do those 3, well, what I hope to look like dried grass. So I'm just making the center one, straight stitch, and then I add the next one. And you'll also notice in the green squares that this is where I've also gone through and sewed down my green blocks instead of having the pins in my way. One can only take so much frustration in life. So here's the finished product. My field of wildflowers against my night sky. I like the depth and how the flowers seem to be randomly appearing as they do in a field, the different colors. And I like that the elevation has gone up here. I know in a previous video I said I was going to add a tree there, but I'm not sure I will. Now what's going to happen next is my fence and gate are coming before. So thank you very much for joining me.